Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're exploring a very interesting piece of U.S. coinage history, the 1982 Lincoln cent with a D mint mark, struck at the Denver Mint. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary penny, especially in circulated condition, but this particular year is very significant in the world of numismatics because of a major change in how the coin was made. The 1982 1-cent coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This design has stood the test of time and remains one of the longest-running obverse designs in U.S. coinage history. On the obverse of the 1982 D coin, Lincoln faces right, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," at the top, "Liberty," to the left, and the year 1982 to the right, followed by the all-important D mint mark below the date. The reverse side, at the time, still carried Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, which had been introduced in 1959. The memorial is centered with "United States of America" across the top, "E Pluribus Unum" just above the monument, and 1 cent at the bottom. In circulated coins, this design often appears flattened, especially on the finer details of the steps and columns. What makes 1982 a standout year in U.S. penny history is the transition in metal composition. For decades, Lincoln cents were made of mostly copper, 95% copper and 5% zinc. However, in 1982, the rising cost of copper forced the U.S. Mint to switch to a cheaper composition, a copper-plated zinc coin consisting of 97.5% zinc and just 2.5% copper. Because of this transition, both copper and zinc cents were minted in 1982, creating multiple varieties. In fact, 1982 has more varieties of the Lincoln cent than almost any other year, due to differences in composition, mint mark, and even the size of the date lettering. The Denver Mint struck both copper and zinc pennies, meaning a 1982 D could be either composition. The weight of the coin is the easiest way to tell them apart. A copper 1982 D cent weighs 3.11 grams, while a zinc 1982 D cent weighs 2.5 grams. In circulated condition, they look very similar, so collectors often weigh them to determine which type they have. Having both types is essential for anyone building a complete Lincoln cent collection. Adding to the complexity, the 1982 Lincoln cents also came in 2 date styles, small date and large date. This refers to subtle differences in the size and shape of the numerals in 1982. Collectors pay close attention to these varieties, especially when paired with the different compositions and mint marks, creating 7 major varieties of the 1982 cent. In circulated condition, most 1982 D cents are extremely common and worth only face value. After all, billions of pennies were produced that year, and they remain plentiful in circulation today. However, identifying which variety you have, copper or zinc, large or small date, can make even a circulated coin more interesting to collectors. One of the most famous errors from this year is the 1982 D small date copper cent, which is a genuine rarity. While most small date Denver coins were struck on zinc planchets, a few were accidentally struck on copper planchets. These are worth hundreds, sometimes even thousands, of dollars depending on condition. So, even in circulated condition, every 1982 D penny is worth a second look. When it comes to circulated examples, condition really matters. A coin that has heavy scratches, discoloration, or corrosion is usually only worth face value. However, a circulated coin with decent detail, even wear, and no serious damage may still interest collectors who are missing that specific variety. The switch from copper to zinc also brought another problem. Zinc cents corrode much more easily. In circulated condition, many 1982 D zinc pennies show pitting, bubbling, or surface damage, especially if they've been exposed to moisture. Copper coins, while they may darken or tone over time, tend to hold up better physically. Collectors often like to keep both copper and zinc 1982 D cents side by side to show the difference in weight and durability. It's a tangible piece of U.S. mint history that illustrates how economic pressures directly influenced coin production. For beginners, this is also one of the most educational years to study. The Denver Mint itself struck hundreds of millions of these coins, ensuring their widespread presence in circulation. While that abundance makes most circulated examples common, the mint mark and year still make them notable for anyone exploring the transition period of U.S. coinage in the early 1980s. So, if you come across a 1982 D Lincoln cent in your change, don't dismiss it too quickly. Even in circulated condition, it could be an important variety. Check the weight, look closely at the date style, and see if it might be one of the scarcer types. Who knows, you could be holding something far more valuable than a single cent. To wrap things up, the 1982 D Lincoln cent in circulated condition might be common, but it's far from boring. It represents a turning point in U.S. coinage, with multiple varieties and one of the most famous modern rarities, the small date copper cent. For collectors, this coin is a reminder that even the smallest, most ordinary pieces of change can hold fascinating stories and surprises. So the next time you find a 1982 penny with a D mint mark, remember, it's not just another cent. It could be copper or zinc, small date or large date, common or rare. In the world of numismatics, knowledge makes all the difference, and even circulated coins like this one can teach us a lot about history, economics, and collecting.